Okay, it's the end of the session. I'm here. Jack is eventually going to come in the shot to get this. This is Stewart's freeze-dried beef liver, by the way, if you want to get some. He really liked it. This would be a good treat to use for your in and out command that we went over in the exercise above. I also use the Tricky Trainer soft and chewy chicken liver treats. Problem is these smell a little bit better, and they're good, but they're a little bit smaller. So I'm just creating kind of an enticement for him to want to come over here. I'm not asking him to come. A lot of us were like, come get these. I create a scenario where if he comes over, good things happen. And I'm creating kind of a temptation line, and it gets closer and closer. So he's comfortable enough. Now we just got done shooting the video above, and I think he's a little bit off his game because he doesn't quite understand. He's like, normally I'm always with my guardian all the time, and that's kind of part of the reason why I think he behaves the way he does on walks. One of the things the guardian just asked me off camera is he has tendencies, very random, inconsistently, he'll snap and lunge at certain people, but most of the people he doesn't. And she has a nice loose leash in the whole 9 yards. So I'm going to start with that because we didn't really cover it in the session. So what I want you to do is use a clicker and do the clicker training. Now, Jack, come. See if he remembers the clicker. Jack, come. So to use the clicker, this is a classically conditioned response. So the way I do this is I would throw a treat on the ground, and when Jack licks it up, click at the same time, and then throw another treat. Do that for about 10 or 15 treats. You can also throw about 5 treats and go. And he's already, I can see that he's kind of starting to pay attention a little bit more because it's a very distinct sound. This was developed by Gene Donaldson in the 1980s. It's a great way to help your dog understand. The click means you just did exactly what I want. I'm going to get a treat in your mouth as soon as I possibly can. And after the treat is delivered, you want to mark with whatever the command word is. Yeah, I'm laughing because he's kind of curling up like a little chinchilla behind his guardian on the couch. And she just petted him for invading her personal space. Remember, everything your dog's doing when you pet it is what you're reinforcing. And you're going to make those mistakes a lot, and that's okay. We're just going to kind of catch it as it go. Now you can pet him for a sit.
Sit.
Perfect. All right, remember, say just the command word, not good sit, just exactly what you did. Remember, they learn through repetition, consistency, and good timing. You have 3 seconds to correct rewards. So every time he sits, pet him and say sit. Every time he lays down, pet him and say lay down. Every time he goes to Zanzibar, eats his food. I have 4 dogs, 3 now, and I say lasagna is one of my dog's word to eat. The way I taught that is every time for 3 months he took his first bite of food, I said the word lasagna. If my dogs drink water, I say agua. And so do I need them to learn how to drink water? No, but it makes it for a richer vocabulary. I'd like you to name all of your individual toys. Now, all bones and antlers can be bones and antlers. But if you have a little, skunk, call him Pepe Le Pew or whatever it is. And that way you can actually tell him, go get me Pepe. And he brings you back, a rope. You're like, no, I said Pepe, not, snake. And so each thing has its unique command word. That's passive training, and that is the easiest way you can train your dog, just waiting for the dog to voluntarily offer you the action. So I say crash means lay down. If my dog lays on its side, I say flop. If they lay on their back, I say pancake. So if he ever just comes and lays on his side, reach over and pet him and say flop. When he is calm, pet him in that calm, when he's in that calm state, and say settle or zen or chill or what yoga or whatever the word is you want to use. So remember, a lot of the time we reward our dogs for doing the wrong thing because we don't realize that good attention and bad attention is the same thing. I come to you, you ignore it. I sit, you ignore it. I lay down, you ignore it. I drop the ball, you ignore it. But as soon as I start barking, you tell me to be quiet. As soon as I start grabbing the remote control, you chase me. So the things that we don't want them to do is the things they do most frequently to get our attention. So what we want to do is flip that, and this is passive training is what I call it, and it's the easiest way to do that. Getting back to what I was originally going to say is, so for clicker training, once you've got the dog, you've primed the clickers where we throw the 10 treats down and click each time they lick it up. He snapped his head around fast that time. So then what you want to do is, you do that maybe, do it with 10 treats twice today, and then you should be good to go. Get another clicker if you don't have one. And then basically what you do is I would have you have some treats, tell him to sit, he sits, sit, and then down, and then he lays down, down, and then take 2 steps away and repeat it. And do it in your house. So do it or walk around, go to the billiards room and go all over the place, do it in your bedroom. And so you do it a lot in the house and spend like about 3 to 5 minutes doing this. And then, nothing else going on. No extra stimulus, nothing crazy going on. And then after you do this 2 or 3 times today, then tomorrow put the leash on him and walk around your house with this and doing it. This time you do it about 3 times in this room, 3 times that room, then come back out here, do it 2 or 3 times, a sit and a down. Then go out in your hallway, walk down your hallway and tell him sit, sit, down, down. Now the hallway is a little bit more challenging than it is in here. Go ahead and pet that. And then eventually you get him practice doing the hallway. Then go in the elevator and just ride in the elevator up and down and just telling him to sit and lay down while the elevator is going up and down. Don't even get off the elevator, and then come back in here. Just spend 5 minutes in the elevator. And so again, we're doing this without going all the way outside. And then eventually you get to the point where you're doing it maybe walking 5 feet each time from your apartment to your to the elevator, then out of the elevator, in the lobby, around the lobby, and eventually out in the street. By the time you get in the street, he's like, here's that, he's just sitting down. And so you're practicing helping him, again, focus back on you. He needs more self-control, and exercises we can do to help him develop that are going to be really important. One of the things I want you to do is I want you to play tug of war with the rope with him. And every once in a while, just stop and say sit. Don't drop it, just stop and let go of it and say sit. If he doesn't sit within 3 seconds, just cross your arms and wait. And kind of he's going to nudge and flop it around at you. The only thing that you can do to get me to play this game again is to sit. As soon as he sits, then pick it and start playing tug of war again. And practicing this stoppage of the activity that he likes when he's aroused, helping him practice settling down and listening to you. And you're doing it in your apartment where it's easy and you have all the advantages. When you do it on the street and you tell them to listen to you, there's a squirrel, there's a man walking, there's a UPS, there's a bird. There's just too many stimulus and it's just hard for him to focus. So the clicker is a great way to channel that. Now it's more training, which is not really what I do, but it does work and it helps the dog zero in and it helps the dog see you acting like a leader. Now, some of the other things we talked about, he's seeing these treats, he's getting antsy. He wants the treats, but he doesn't know how to get them. And so he's going to get them himself. And when he does, good things are going to happen. I'm not telling him to do it, but he's going to do it on his own. Now, if I'm doing this and I get done with this video and he doesn't take them, well, then I pick up those treats because I want to do this for a reason. Now, please don't zoom in, buddy. We like to keep it without the zoom. That was the dog zoom, not the guardian. Okay, so we talked about exercise, and I think for him, and I want the guardian to interpret if he's naughty, if he grabs the remote control, he's barking, he's doing any of these things, he's sitting multiple times, he needs exercise. Before we do these exercises, before we practice the clicker training, before we take him for a walk, before our friends come over, we're going to get him exercise. Remember, set him up for success. So I'd like you to get a retractable leash, get a heavy duty one. It doesn't have to be, I don't think you have to, you just get a regular one. And then basically put him on his harness, go to your stairs. Remember, the treat goes in the mouth first, the command word after. This is where the treat, the crack might come in handy at first because it's bigger and he can see it better. So you throw it down, and their eyes are very attractive movie. You throw it down, he runs down there, and you maybe say Peru when he licks up the treat. Then call him back up. When he comes back up, give him another treat, or just pet him and say Aspen or Denver or whatever. So Peru means to go down, Aspen means to go up. And so you want to count each down up as one repetition. And what you want to do is with an empty stomach, the first time, max him out. So go there and, you know what, if we're going to 192 or whatever the number is fine. One with this one a little bit closer. Oh, now it's on the floor. What are you going to do? It's like, I got to think about this. I'm going to sit and think. So basically, you want to max him out because we want to know what his maximum number is. If we don't know what that number is, we can't ever achieve what we want to do. You want to exercise him typically 50 to 75% of the maximum number, but you're going to play around with those elements. So for the walks, once you figure out what the maximum number is, I'd like you to do about 50% of that, then take him for your walk. And so let's say it's 50 times up down the stairs. That's probably less than 5 minutes. And then give him anytime you exercise him, he gets 10 minutes to recover. Then take him for a walk. And then see, does this type of man comes by that he lunges at? And anytime he lunges at someone, after the person walks away, sit down, grab your phone, and put down, and you're working a field where you do a lot of documentation. So basically just write down the date, the time, the location, 6 foot tall man with dark hair, beard, hat, and sunglasses. You might find it's people with hats, people with beards, people who are loud. So after a while, we start recognizing, we see the data has told us it's a tall man with a beard. Well, then we can find a friend who's a tall man with a beard and arrange to have him come by and practice having him sit or gets treats from that person. So instead of looking at that person as an interloper, they say tall men with beard are like pizza men. They just have treats with them all the time. If I sit in front of them, they'll give me a treat instead of lunging at them. But a lot of lunging comes from having too much pent-up energy and thinking I'm in charge of my humans, and also not practicing much self-control. So, all right, so the doggy stairmaster, that thing you're going to do, remember, exercise is best every 2 to 4 hours. So that's going to help him a ton before friends come over and he's being nuisance. Other things we can do is scent games, and you can just Google scent games. It's just really just leaving treats around. He's got to use his nose to find them. I'd also like you to go to Amazon, get an Omega Paw Treat Ball. Get the large one, and just search there. Sometimes it doesn't say the size. Get the large one. It's about the size of a softball. And you can, when you have friends come over, after you exercise him, and if he's still being a nuisance, put some of his kibble in. Have your friend give it to him and nudge it around. But at first, let him get used to it with nobody's there. He's got to use his nose to find it. And that'll boost his self-esteem, and it burns energy, and it gives him something to do. Also get in a snuffle mat, and you can get them for about 18 to 25 bucks on Chewy or Amazon. And you put his dry kibble in there, work it in there, and he's got to use his nose to find it. That makes feeding him like a walk. That's equivalent to a walk. You could also use a laser, unless I said, like, if he gets anxious or whiny, then stop using that. That's not healthy for him. And then on walks, let him sniff as much as you can, as long as it's safe to do so. But I think if you exercise him before the walks, just give him that 10 minutes recover, you're going to have a really pronounced difference. Let me see, what else? Daycare, you might want to consider going to half days at daycare. I think it'd probably be more efficient for him and better for him to have a half day and then come home and then get the walk and stuff with you. All right, we also talked about rules. He really doesn't have any rules. If dog doesn't have any rules, it sees you as a peer, and then listening to you is optional. So some of the rules we went over, not being allowed on the couch, and he just climbs up on top of you and your friends, and he's going to continue doing that because this says we are peers. So we taught him how to go to Zanzibar. Remember to throw the treats at Zanzibar? Go ahead and do that there. See if he'll go over there and get that. Throw another one. No, he's thinking about it. So here, we haven't practiced this. Zanzibar we practiced. I'm betting he's going to get up and walk over there. Let's see. He's thinking about it. So I'll make it even more enticing. I'll show him that I have another treat and throw another one over there. We call this a jackpot when there's multiple treats or rewards there. And hopefully he'll go over there. Now he's kind of staying away from me because this is a kind of an illustration that he does have some insecurities. He's probably just not used to somebody correcting him or teaching him that he can't do certain things. So he's unaccustomed to this sort of thing. And this is something that he needs to do on a regular basis because I think that he's learned misbehaving is a great way to get my human's attention. And so we're going to teach him positive things through passive training. And we'll also talk about petting with a purpose in a second. But so order the X mats, the letter X, M-A-T-S on Amazon or Chewy, about 11 to 13 bucks a piece. You'll need 4 of them here. And then that way you put them here, and then you go to the bathroom, you unfold it and put it here, and then you go to the bathroom. He can't come and take your spot. When you come and sit down, you fold it, put it back underneath here. And at the same time, we're going to practice at Zanzibar. I would practice it like, about just throw some treats. Remember, every time he goes there, either say the word or throw the treats. Now he come here and just raining treats. Order the dog bed on Amazon. Make sure it's no pattern, light gray, light cream, or white is the best color. And you want to get one that's like a cushion, where it's like got a lip here, and a lip here. So it kind of looks a little bit like a couch, and that makes it easy for you to throw those treats. And if it's a light color, make sure that light color so he sees the treat on there just like he saw on the towel. And after a while, he'll just start hanging out there, and that will help when you have your friends come over. Other rules, you have to sit at the door. Remember, I'm only going to say once. Sit. If he doesn't sit within 3 seconds, walk away, sit down, wait for 1 minute, then go back and command him only again once. He doesn't sit in 3 seconds. I walk away for 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 8 minutes. Make sure you're seated each time you walk away. Eventually, he'll sit at the door as his way of going out. When he does that, make sure you fly that door open as soon as he sits down. Also, practice putting him on the leash without actually taking him for a walk. Now, the first thing you might want to do is just sit down and then put them back. And then stand up, pick up your keys, jingle, and put them back. So all the triggers, all the things you do before a walk, you grab your hat, your sunglasses, your purse, your keys, your poop bags, all those things, you want to pick them up and then put them down, and then you break the association. And practice leashing him up and go over there, tell him to sit 1 time. If he doesn't sit, walk away. Within 3 seconds, walk away and sit down, wait. You can wait the 1, 2, 4 minute as same interval if you want, but do this at times you're not planning to take it for a walk. Then eventually you go over there and say sit, and he sits. Then you reach for it, and he gets up, pull your hand back, and tell him to sit again. If he sits in 3 seconds, I reach again. If he gets up, I stop. And I will say sit maybe 3 or 4 times. And after that, I reach, and he gets up, and I pull my arm back, and I just sit there. And then if he sits in that 3-second window, I reach again. If he doesn't, I go sit back down again. This is a desensitization exercise, and it's a great way to help him practice. And once you get to the point where you can tell him to sit, he sits, you attach the leash, then just come over and sit and watch TV or read or do whatever it is you want to do. And he'll drag the leash around. It's dangerous for a dog to drag the leash around unsupervised, but it's a small environment, so I'm not that worried about it. And so he practices. Sometimes the leash goes on, but we don't go for a walk, so that will help mitigate some of the excitement. He also practices being calm while the leash is applied, and exercising him before the walks and teaching him to be calm before the walks will produce much better walks. We also talked about, at least the other rules we talked about, not being allowed in the bedroom at times, and practice once or twice a day going in there and spending a little bit of time, enforce the boundary like I showed you in the video above. And so we have to practice being alone from you, as well as if you do have a companion that you would like to have a little alone time, you're setting him up because he's practiced doing that. I'd also like you to get him some other chew toys. So one of the things I would recommend you get him is a water buffalo horn. It will smell funky for about a week or 2, and after that it won't smell, but it will almost, I'm not exaggerating, it'll probably outlast the dog. I would also get some cow kneecaps. Now, cow kneecaps don't keep as long as the bully sticks. I get them from the Natural Dog Company, get the odor-free or low odor, and then basically have those so that if your friends come over, you can give them a kneecap or a bully stick that gives him something to do. But again, the exercise is going to be the key component for that. Let me see. Maybe get a separate basket so he has his hard toys in one and his soft toys in the other. I would probably avoid getting the squeaker toys and probably start getting less and less of the chewing toys because he is practicing chewing those things up. I like to have one toy my dogs can destroy, but the rest of them I have durable stuff for them to chew on or stuff for them to play with and bounce around. Let me see, what else? So those are examples of rules, but also come up with other things. Like you have to sit before I start even the process of putting the food in your snuffle mat. Or you have to sit before I pick up the leash, or make sure you go practice the drop command. So when he's got something in his mouth, quietly pull out a treat, go over, hold it in front of his mouth, and don't say anything, wait for him to do it. When he drops it, put the treat in his mouth, say drop, and then don't show any interest in his toy. After you do that enough, you'll say drop and he'll spit anything out. You might want to also go to my website and look for a leave it exercise. So go to doggroundproblems.com, click on where it says dog training tips. In the search box to the right of the page, or the bottom of the page, type in leave it. So when you do the leave it, what I typically do is I drop it like this, and I drop it here and I hover or I cage over it. And then if the dog tries to get it, I keep my hand here. Once the dog disengages, then I treat from my other hand. The dog never gets this treat. The guardian was making him wait for this treat and then getting it, which is not the leave. That's really a wait command. And so that's really important for him, for him to practice that so that when you're out and about, you can say leave it. And that means look up here and the treat's coming from here as a contract for giving up what's down there. There's going to be all sorts of stuff. We're going to eventually get you to go over there. Now, he's breathing heavy. Breathing heavy is a sign of stress. In this case, he is a little stressed out because of the exercise we just got done doing. But the more you practice these self-control exercises, the more practiced and confident he gets with that, the less stressed he'll be and the better he will perform. Now, we also talked about petting with a purpose. So he comes up and nudges people and he wants attention. He also jumps up on them and paws at them. These are ways telling us what to do. Remember, leaders tell, followers ask. So next time he nudges you, instead of doing what he wants, give him a counter order, tell him to sit. If he sits in that 3-second window, pat him under his chin and say the word sit. Pat him anywhere you want, just don't pat him up here. If he doesn't sit within 3 seconds, remember, playing hard to get works great for dating, works great for dog training too. If you don't sit, you don't get any attention. I lean back, pull out my phone or watch some TV or read a magazine, journal or whatever it is, and then he learns, man, and he paws and whimpers and barks, doesn't even look at me anymore. But boy, as soon as I sit down, she starts petting me. So what will happen is he'll realize I can't tell her what to do anymore, or any humans. I have to ask, and better than ask, I have to pay for the privilege of their attention, and I pay for it through a currency of obedience. And he'll start coming and sitting in front of you to prepare for attention. That reminds me my posture is horrible. So when he does that, make sure you reach over and pet him and say the word sit, and just the word sit, not good sit. And then pet him as much or as little as you want. Now if he does, and you pet him for a minute, and then he stops and does it again, well, and he does it a second time or third time, take him to the stairs and you do the Stairmaster or the I'll make a paw treat ball or something along those lines. Let me see. If your friends are around, tell them to remind you. Since you don't have anybody else here currently, I would maybe put some Post-it notes up. Sit equals pets, pet with a purpose, Zanzibar, some different things like that. And make yourself a little bit of a journal so you can practice some of these things to help them go into your long-term memory. The more you practice inside the house, the easier it's going to be outside. And eventually you get to the point where you get more challenging situations and he's better at them. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's about it. Make sure you're eating something before you feed him, and then he's not allowed to be within 7 feet of you when you're eating. You might want to put like some masking or painter's tape down right here and there, and so when you practice eating here, he can't cross that line. It's the same sort of exercise we did there. Your bedroom door made it easier because that's a choke point. Here there's more areas and he's athletic, so we found even there he was trying to negate you. I'm going to have you stand up and walk towards the mirror, but keep the camera at me if you can. We'll see if that'll get him to get down. Yes, he is a little bit of a mama's girl. And nothing wrong with that, but in enough practice, that can cause him to develop some insecurities. And that insecurity is probably related to why he does the barking, the demand barking for attention, and why he lunges at people on walks. So take a half step this way. And so he's thinking about getting down. But we could tell him to get down or get off, and you could throw a treat down and have him do that. Right now, we want him to do it on his own. So I'm betting he goes over to Zanzibar. And I think something happened to him in this area because the way he's a little bit skittish. Let me move this table a little bit and see if that helps him a little bit. So see if he'll go to Zanzibar. I think he's just a little bit nervous, just in general, and because he's just not accustomed to you acting like a leader this way, and he just doesn't know how to process it. And so, there you go. And remember, and if you look at him right now, film him, and I'll see if I can achieve it again. Here you go, buddy. So watch his back legs, and you see he's hunched over. See if I can do that again. There you go. I want a little bit closer. There you go. So see his back legs. Look, I call that leaning on first. So that lean and that slow movement tells me that he's uncomfortable in this area. So if that was the case, I would drop a treat and have him practice going in here over and over and over again, just like he did for Zanzibar, until he's more and more comfortable doing it. And sometimes you have to get him closer and closer and get him jump started. And then go a little bit more and a little bit more each time. But you see, we're not telling him to go get it. We're letting him do it. And see, he's getting a reward for doing it. He's doing it on his own attention. And then now we're going to say Zanzibar, because he's got at least one opponent. Zanzibar, 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 Zanzibar. But you see how he's still hunched over? So that's an indication that he's uncomfortable. So if you see that on a walk, that's his way of telling us that he's uncomfortable. And so we want to help him practice that until he's no longer comfortable. A lot of people just avoid things. Hey, buddy. So we want him to practice these things until he's more and more comfortable. And we just want to take care of the fear itself permanently, so it's not a factor that we have to deal with in the future. Otherwise, it's not a healthy way for him to go through life. There you go, buddy. And so small baby steps. See, we have less of a lean right here. There's another one, Zanzibar, but I'm not telling him to do any of these things. He gets to do all these things, Zanzibar, on his own. Another one over here, buddy. I'd like to have you look at have you look at the camera, because although it's very pretty, I would like them to see anything besides your butt or something besides your butt. How about a sit? Well, this is my buddy Jack, and this is Jack's roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.